Hello, audience. How are you all? So, today we are going to have one other podcast. Sell Like Her podcast is dedicated to inspire and empower women to pursue an excellent sales career by filling the gender gap, to live to the fullest of her potential, and to achieve financial independence. I will be interviewing amazing successful women sales leaders and CEOs from India and around the globe, where we discuss their sales journey, their challenges, their wins, and much more. So let's welcome Preeta Dubey. She's our guest today. I'm honored to have you here, Preeta.
The honor is all mine, Tilaga. I'm so privileged to be here in your such a highly uh, respected podcast. You've been receiving awards for this podcast, and you've invited me. I feel very honored. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So before we continue the conversation, let's give you a short intro about you to the audience. So Preeta Dubey, she has more than 20 years of experience in sales. She's an international sales trainer, managing partner and chief mentor at Success Vitamin, gender and diversity advisor, revenue strategist at VFin, regional director at IAST. I can keep going on. She has so much of experience. Certified instructor at Leaders Excellence at Hardware Square, and she also worked with Forbes as Forbes Council as a member. So we will be discussing more about all this. So Preeta, now I just want to know like how the sales journey has started for you.
I call myself an accidental salesperson.
Okay.
This was not where I actually, that time I didn't even know where I want to go. But I think the only industry that I was very clear in my mind was I wanted to get into banking. That I was very clear. But banking sales, that I had not envisioned, and I was not sure that I'm going to get into a banking sales. But it so happened that after you complete your MBA, you sit for your campus placement, and ICICI Prudential Life Insurance happened to come at the placement, and my college pushed me to go and attend that the GD interview and everything. And maybe it was all destined. Got the I got selected. Now, once I got selected, the college said, "That's it. You have already gotten placed. So we are not allowing you to sit for any other campus interviews." So my dreams of getting into a bank kind of gone lost out there, and I got into selling insurance instead. And that was how I got into sales in the first place, by getting into selling insurance. But on hindsight, I'm very happy that is how I started my journey, of selling, of having to sell insurance, because that's one product that every customer wants to run away from. You have to literally
Yeah.
chase everyone to sell them insurance. And so when I got into selling insurance, it it developed in me at actually all the skills that I needed to be successful in sales: the patience, perseverance, resilience, to not give up, the agility, to be able to chase without feeling dejected, getting, everyone shooing you away. It's not even rejection. See, one is you call up people and they say, "I don't need something," and they bang the phone down. That's a separate thing. But the
Mm.
fact that someone knows that, oh, you are into selling insurance, they start running away from you, and you have to literally chase them. So that's again a very different story. So you can imagine the kind of competencies that it helped develop in me. And when that happened and I started getting a lot of success in selling insurance, is when I really started enjoying being in
Mhm.
sales. And then it was a very conscious decision that I don't want to be in any other career. I want to be in sales. I did eventually get a chance to work for a bank, but that too, I was completely in sales. And since then till now, sales has been my first and only love that I am aware of. That is the only job that I have ever done. And you can
Okay.
say that's the only career that I've had.
Mhm. Yeah, good to see, like from insurance, then you move to a banking sector, right?
Yeah.
ICICI and all
Yeah,
these
yeah.
companies.
I was with ICICI for 5 years. Yeah,
5 years. Okay.
yeah.
So how do you see women in sales at that time in banking sector?
That time in banking sector, I can't comment about the entire banking sector because that time I did not get an opportunity
To
to work in many banks. I only worked in one bank, and that was ICICI Bank. And honestly, I didn't see any that kind of a gap in that banking in ICICI. Everyone knows ICICI Bank and how women lead from the top to most of the places. So being in sales also, I really didn't come across that anything like there has been any kind of resistance from an organization's side to not hire a woman. That I never faced, because they hired me, they interviewed me, they were very clear that we are open to talent. That's how their culture was. um, Yet yes, the percentage of women in sales was lower than men, so that I will attribute to women not applying, maybe, but not
Mhm.
to organizations not wanting to have women in the team. My the person whom I was report, my super boss actually was a lady. The department where I was working, it was headed by a lady. So
Wow.
the organization didn't have any bias that way, that we will take or will not take a woman in a business role. But if there was a gap, I would say it was maybe women didn't apply. So yeah, that is what I can say from my time. But if you now ask that what is it that I see now, then I would probably say that now, being a trainer and a coach, and
Mm-hmm.
having now exposure to many organizations, not just banking but many organizations, and not only in our country but also in many other countries, because I do work a lot with banks. And there now I am talking like 20 almost like 15 years from my banking time. It really surprises me and shocks me that there is still so limited number of women in sales. It is it's really quite disappointing to
Mm-hmm.
find so few women in sales. The reasons are plenty. There are a few organizations where they do work with a certain unconscious bias that a woman may not want to be in sales, so they don't hire. At the same time, there are also a lot of misperceptions about sales that women have, because of which they don't apply to a
Mm.
for a sales position, or they don't choose sales as a career.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But do you see in banking sector or in general now?
it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. The gaps, the gap is there. There are many successful women in sales that we come across, and we do see them, and they are they are becoming the role models for many others to get inspired and take up sales as a career. Yet the gap is there. Yet the gap is there, and I would say it's both parties' responsibility. The organization also needs to unbiasedly open up the doors for the women to join in, and the women also need to break all these myths about
Yeah.
that or the misperception that they have about sales as a career. And look at all of us who have made it so successfully in sales, and know that it's an amazing career to have. Plus
Yeah,
it's lots of
that's
money.
I agree. I agree totally with you.
Yeah. And
But
what I was saying is
question,
that sorry, yeah. So I was saying that plus it's lots of money. Don't you want money in life? Everyone wants money in life.
I think that's a good way to put in. So must be money has attracted you to retain in sales.
it's who acha. Now if I say that no, then it will be who is going to believe that statement, isn't it? I mean, who on
Yeah.
I have still not reached that saint level where I can say that money doesn't attract me. Of course money attracts me, of course I want to build wealth, and of course one of the motivators of staying in sales was those incentives. Oh my
Very
god,
true.
I enjoyed my incentives, so much of them, so much, huge amounts of incentives that I got. I mean, my salary used to be only in the bank. I used to live off only my incentives. Uh, so I mean, who doesn't enjoy money? At end of the day, uh, till any time, all the career changes that we make, very rarely do we change a career because of the challenge or the task, and or those are one of the criteria, I agree. But if they say, I will give you all the challenge, I will give you newness, I will give you something interesting, but half the salary, you're not going to accept it, right? So money
That's true.
is a very important motivation for all. And
Yeah.
sales is one field where you can really build wealth.
Limitless, if you want limitless money,
Yeah,
it's there.
limitless money. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Agreed.
The last question about banking sector. Do you see now the opportunities for women getting into sales in banking sector, because you are from this sector, right?
It was always there, Tilaga. It was always there. I mean, there is no reason for a woman not to be in sales of banking product. It was always there. In fact, I think compared to all other sectors, if we see, I think banking would still be a sector where there would have been more sales women than any other sector. And
Hmm.
I think it still continues to be. You look at wealth management, you will find so many women in wealth management. you
Yeah.
know you look at private banking, so many women in private banking. Okay, so you look at corporate banking, so many women in corporate banking. So banking is one such place which has always been the best place to be for women in sales, and it continues to be, and it has always encouraged women in sales. They've always hired women in sales. So it's a very good industry. It's a very good industry.
Okay, so I think that gives some, input to the women audience. So banking is also one of the sector they can really look into it. And coming into your challenges, like any any field there will be a challenges. So in sales, whether it may be your internal challenge or external challenge, what is that you really faced?
Me? Oh no. Okay, so this is a this is a great question that you have asked me, and many who know me, and if they are here live or they are going to watch this episode later, probably will find it a bit difficult to believe.
Digest.
Yeah, digest. Yes, very difficult because I keep getting that. But I one of the most uh, challenging piece for me when I initially started is that by nature, my natural behavior, or my the natural style of me is that of being an introvert. So I have always been scared of or fearful, not scared, rather it would be a strong word, fearful of crowds, fearful of talking to anyone unknown, fearful of socializing on my own, like that is taking an initiation and going and just saying hello to someone and networking and all that stuff. um, in my intimate zone, you will find me very bubbly, very lively, very talkative. So my intimate zone definitely knows me as a very talkative person.
Mhm.
But the minute I am outside of the intimate zone, I can't. I start feeling very nervous, and I get very. How do I approach? And I need a lot of courage, lot of that pep talk from within to push me to do something, to go and talk to someone, socialize, network, connect, connect with a total stranger. So you can imagine the person who's like shy, very inward kind of a person, being in sales at that point of time, that requires obviously you to cold call people whom you don't even know, and go and attend the networking events, and where there is like a crowd of some thousands there, and you are supposed to be connecting. So there are these groups of people who are standing and talking with each other, and I'm supposed to kind of like that Arjun's arrow, I'm supposed to just pierce through that group and make myself visible to them and network with them and collect their cards so that I'm able to come back and call them. You know the how the drill works
Yeah.
for it was tough. The first year, the first two, or rather the first 4 to 5 years, it was very tough for me. It was very tough for me. I was It's so intrinsic a thing that it doesn't just, I can't just overcome that fear just within a day, so I still remember in my first ever networking session when I had gone. It was my first job, and my job was to collect visiting cards so that we can come back and we can do we can call them up and tell them that, hey, we met in that thing, and we want to talk about insurance. And I am in that networking, even I'm standing in one corner, I am not going anywhere, I'm standing there. I just it's as if my feet has frozen in the ground. It's got somebody has nailed them to the ground. I just can't move, I can't get to talk. I remember myself feeling all maybe white with as if I have no blood, that
Oh my
kind, that
God.
level I had gone. And my manager was with me, and he was like, you have to go and get 100 cards. I'm like, I can't do it, it's not possible for me to do it. You So he's like, no, I don't care, you have to go, you have to go. I can't do it. And I remember he literally pushing me into one of the crowds, like from the back. He just pushed me into the crowds, and I just kind of just bumped into that group of people who are sitting there. I had no other option but to kind of start hello, and very nervously I just, as soon as possible, I could just I'm from Isaac, may I have your card, and just collected the card and came out. I think on that day I don't think I collected 100 cards. I may have collected some 30, 40 cards, but for me that day was a big achievement because
Yeah.
uh, it was a big thing. It was a big thing for me to go to an unknown person and tell them that I want your cards. But over a period of time, I realized that something which is very intrinsic to me, I cannot change that. I can't suddenly become an extrovert. That is not possible. That's not my basic nature. So if I cannot be an extrovert and I like being in sales, then I had to do something about my introvertness and make it my strength, or at least do something about that. So so I realized that it was all a very wrong thought in my mind. It was my own thinking which was saying that, oh, you are an introvert, you can't do it, or you are shy, or it is not comfortable. It was what I was thinking an introvert is in my mind, and that shyness, and I was allowing all that shyness and everything else to pull me down, rather
Mm.
than looking at the uh, the strengths that, despite being in the strengths that I have as an introvert, and
Mm.
leveraging them for my sales. So when that awareness happened, I think then it started making sense for me. It did start making sense for me. Then I think the fact that I'm successful, I'm sitting here, tells you that I have very successfully managed myself and led myself to this place.
Okay, so that's a great a story, for all the women here, because I know most of the women have that limited belief that they are introvert. How can they go and approach customers, face customers, be talkative? I think it's all, breaking the myths.
Yeah, like again, another point you said, there is this perception that talkative people will do good in sales, which
Ah,
is actually a very wrong perception. I'll tell you the strengths. Again, in sales, you have to talk less and let the other person talk more. So you should not be a talkative. So being an introvert, that's a strength, because then I'm allowing, because it's that initial fear, and that resistance is
mm,
there of talking to it. So what is happening is I'm allowing the other person to talk more.
mm,
So that way, the other person is feeling more comfortable, and I am being a good listener to the other person. So they are feeling that they are having a very good conversation.
mm,
So sorry about that. And second thing is, being an introvert also allows us to, again, that this myth is that you have to be very aggressive, or rather you have to be aggressive is no longer the term used anymore, but they say that you have to be ahead, you have to be controlling, you have to be controlling the process, you have to be kind of anticipating what the client is saying, and you have to be prepared. It's not a game.
mm,
It's not a game that it's not a chess that I am playing, that I have to anticipate and do all that stuff. I know there are a lot of strategies and tactics that we need to apply, and I teach that during in my negotiations also. But again, being an introvert, what happens is, because I'm listening to the person, I'm able to observe, um, or rather I'm listening with all my senses. All my senses are open. I'm not only listening with my ears, I'm listening with my eyes, with my body. I am able to observe at which word, how the client, you know presented that word. Did their eyes sparkle? Was there a slight smile, or did they go back in the chair? Did they come from? I am able to observe all these things because I am more focused on them and not on me. And
mm,
that is what we do in sales, right? So it works. It works because you are more customer centric than, not self centered.
mm,
And that is also one of the ways that one can actually, even if that fear of introvertness works on you, I also suggest that don't focus on yourself, focus on the client. Suddenly you will not be thinking about yourself, and you won't be
mm,
bothered about how you are feeling, or how scared you are, or what's happening with you. You won't be thinking about you. You'll be thinking about the
mm.
customer, and you are there then only with one intention, that how can I serve this person who is sitting opposite.
Wow. I think, this is the great, message we are giving. Today's podcast is, even though you are introvert, do not worry. Even introvert can do great sales. And Preeta is the best example for that, you know.
There are many like me. I have been fortunate to have met so many people, and now what I hear is, introverts are the best salespeople. That's what I hear.
Wow. I think in this generation, the people have to listen more, understand their problems, giving the solution, adding more value, really serve them, really be conscious about what they are speaking, their body language. I think in this generation, even for introvert, it's a great opportunity to become the best salesman or woman, right?
Always, it's a good place to for everyone. Extroverts, don't feel bad that this is not a good place for you. Even you can shine here. All of you who are
Yeah, yeah.
extroverts, just remember one thing, that you don't have to be talkative to be in fact, if you are talkative, there is a chance that you may not do so well in sales. But if you can but you also have strengths. You can socialize easily, you can network very easily. um, and I think that each one of us have our own set of strengths and areas of improvement, and all that combined, we have to find how we can be successful.
Yeah.
Whatever is required to do, whichever areas you can work upon that. Certain things could be difficult to work upon, like for me at that point of time, I just can't suddenly, I cannot become an extrovert like everyone, all of you who are extroverts. But wherever we can work upon that. And wherever you cannot work upon, find the strengths and
Yeah.
leverage that.
Yeah. Mainly, like, do not have any, perception that you can't do it. It's not possible for you. It's always
Yeah,
knowing your strength and living up to that. I think that's what
yeah,
important, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And how this, sales journey has been, a corporate journey has been shifted to a sales trainer.
That's also happened accidentally. Now the irony, I would like to share that till the time I was in the corporate world, whenever I would be nominated for a training program, I would always find excuses so that I don't have to go and sit through a training program.
Okay.
My idea about training programs used to be like, you get bored, you feel very sleepy, and only those programs where they would bring a lot of props and the entire program would be filled with activities and games, those are nice. But rest of the programs are very boring and sleepy and all that stuff, so I would always stay away from a training program. It's really, it's like everything goes wrong. It's something happened and I got into training. And it was a very accidental move for me to training, because I was coaching. I had shifted from banking to the recruitment industry, and I was coaching the candidates on how to give an interview, how to present yourself, and how to talk, and how to, on the entire how to crack an interview. So during that coaching, I realized that this is a great, there is very lot of scope here for me to start, and I always wanted to start on my own. So I did my course in image management so that I can help. The whole sole objective was to help the job seekers um, create that first impression and able to crack an interview, so that I'm able to coach them and groom them. But when I did my course with on image management, um, they gave me an opportunity, the institute gave me an opportunity to train their upcoming batches, all the future batches that used to come when I passed out. So that
Mm-hmm.
is when I got a chance, or got my encounter with training. And that is where I realized that I was really enjoying
Mm-hmm.
the entire aspect of training. And so I decided that let me do something about it, and let me learn the skills of training. Let me try and see how, or let me develop myself in a way that my training programs are at least not boring and people don't feel sleepy, and I can create an engaging training program without using props, without playing games. And thankfully, successfully, I have been able to, God has been kind, I have been able to create that kind of an environment in my training programs.
Okay. I think this giving some message, right? Even though you do not want certain things, when there is a destiny to it, you will
It
be with
comes.
that, right?
Yeah, you will
It comes.
everything kind of leads you to that. So yes, when I look back at my journey, I can very clearly see the links, that this why this happened, because the next thing was supposed to happen, then the next thing was supposed to happen, then the next thing was supposed to happen. So the fact that finally something happened and I left the banking industry and I shifted to HR industry. So if whatever that situation was during that time was not there, maybe I would have still been in banking. But
Hmm.
because of certain situations, I decided to leave banking and shift my industry altogether. And I shifted to HR. And when I shifted to HR in the recruitment industry, is when I got introduced to image management. And when I got introduced to image management, and then I got to trading. And then rest is history. That's how everything is destined. You just it just works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a message from Chitra. Hi, Chitra. You were destined to happen to the world of sales.
That I don't know whether I was destined to happen to the world of sales or not. That I don't know, but maybe, yeah, maybe the universe wanted me to be a sales, so that eventually I become a sales trainer and become a sales coach, and then I get to meet such wonderful people like Tilaga and Chitra and so many others who are
Same
such
here.
bright. Yeah, who were also destined to happen to the world of sales, by the way. So so I think it is all destined. Yeah.
So just share your experience working with Forbes, Preeta.
Okay, I was not working with Forbes. I was an official member with the Forbes Coaches Council in the year 2000 and 2001. So for 2 years, I was an official member. So Forbes has a lot of councils. They have business development councils, HR council, coaches council. So I was and many other councils they have. So I was, and it's a invitation based membership. So I don't know, maybe destined somehow it happened that I was a member with them for 2 years. So as a member, I got a lot of benefits from being a member. And it's more like networking, and you're getting to know a lot of other people across the globe, many other coaches, and you're able to expand your network. So that is what this membership did to me. I also used to write a lot of articles for Forbes, so that also happened, that a lot of
Okay,
my articles came out on Forbes. So yeah, so that
great,
was a good thing for me. I don't know what I contributed to them, but they definitely contributed a lot to me and my growth.
great. And the story of Born of Success Vitamin.
So when I started as an image consultant, the name of my firm was Image Vitamin. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought that I'm going to make people, I'm going to make their brand image and create an image for them. But then over a period of time, I left image consulting and I shifted to sales and the success of people and entrepreneurs, growing their business and all that. So initially, so I thought that why change the full name to something else? So just replace the image and put success there, so that
Okay.
it comes out more as what I give is, I don't claim to kind of transform your life into something and all that stuff. All I can do is give you those. I start from that presumption that you're already good, and you want to be taken to a different level. Therefore, when I even coach women entrepreneurs, I start with this thing that you already know how to sell. You probably do not realize it right now, but you already know how to sell. Everybody in this
Yeah.
planet knows how to sell. You probably don't believe it right now, and you probably don't realize it right now. But I know for sure that you know how to sell. And uh, therefore, what I give are certain vitamins, which are like vitamins, that some things that I give you, so that I can make you aware, I can help you realize your own strengths, and help you then leverage it on your own, and you grow on your own. See, I can't be hand holding you and walking with you for your entire journey, right? All I can give you are those tiny doses of vitamins. So if you have seen my the podcast Sales in 60 Seconds, it's like just in 1 minute I am giving you a sales tip. Just less than a minute I'm giving you a sales tip. So those are the vitamins I offer and I can offer. So therefore the name Success Vitamin.
Okay, I think instead of 60 seconds sales tips, you would have put 60 second sales vitamin, right?
Yeah, I could have made it like sales vitamins in 60 seconds. But
Something like that, yeah.
yeah, I know. Yeah,
Okay.
but then I thought that people may not understand what sales vitamins are. So I thought,
Yeah, you
okay,
are
let us
right.
keep it easy for people to understand.
And like I've seen you are being a advisor for gender and diversity equality, right,
Yeah,
Preeta?
yeah.
What does that really, want to convey to women in sales, diversity, gender equality?
I do a lot of sensitization or gender intelligence programs for organizations, and it's quite encouraging that organizations are really opening up to these, and they are realizing that we do have a gender gap and we need to do something about it. So it's quite fulfilling to do such kind of programs where we are growing the gender intelligence quotient of an organization. And through these programs, it's not only about women in sales, but it is about having all, it's about having being inclusive. So how the organization can be inclusive, how the leaders can be inclusive, how all team members could be inclusive in their behavior, in their communication, in the way they conduct themselves. So that is the kind of program that I do. Apart from that, I am a consultant with the World Bank Group, International Finance Corporation, and there I work. So IFC, International Finance Corporation, works with banks across the world. They take up a lot of advisory projects. So I am I am a consultant with them, and I am a gender lead. So I do a lot of gender based projects for them, wherein we look at creating gender propositions for banks, or we work on, suppose they already have a banking solution, and we try to give a gender lens to that product. So for example, say there's an insurance company selling insurance, life insurance, and we try and go there and try and see, an advisory work would be trying and figuring out that can there be a woman specific insurance
Mm.
product that can come out. So that is the kind of advisory work that I do. And it's a very fulfilling job, honestly, because I have worked with so many different banks across the world, and having seen those different cultures, it also widens your perspective. So it's interesting to see how the gender diversity is, or the and I'm using the word gender, but what I really mean is women. So
Mm.
how women as a customer, the gap that women entrepreneurs have in terms of lending, the kind of gaps are there in the lending of to a man, a business person, a businessman, vis-a-vis a lending to a businesswoman, the kind of gap that is, and why that gap is there, what are the causes of the gap. So it's an interesting advisory work that I do. And that is something which really I find it very interesting, and there's so much for me to learn from that
Mm.
work.
Wow. I think that's the success of women being success, right? Like she help other women, the women community as well to, to bring upon them on the table.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you for what you're doing for gender equality and diversity, Preeta. Like we are almost in the end. A few more questions. Like, what is your daily habits? Which really helped you to become successful in sales or on a personal development?
uh, One of the habits, or you can say a very favorite hobby of mine, is having a good sleep. It's a very very favorite hobby, and it's a very interesting habit that I have. I If I don't get my full sleep, it's when I become a bit unproductive. So I see to it that I have proper sleep. No matter what happens, I have proper sleep. Another discipline that I maintain as a salesperson is prospecting. I prospect a lot. I very sincerely, very consistently, I prospect. I don't get lazy when it comes to prospecting. I don't fear it. I do it on a regular basis. And in fact, uh, since the last probably almost now, it's going to be almost close to a year. I now work a bit differently. I work for 2 months where I have a lot of consulting projects, training work, and so I keep absolutely back to back busy, no time to breathe. And then 1 full month, I don't take up any training assignments, no coaching assignments, no consulting work. I don't take anything. All I do that entire month is prospect,
Wow.
network, attend webinars, go for meetings, connect with new clients. 1 full month I just prospect, and the next 2 months I stay absolutely busy. So that is kind of a habit which I am doing, and which I am realizing that it helps me balance my life also very well. So
Wow.
I'm not really overdoing. I have an entire month for me to do whatever I want to do. And another discipline I maintain for myself is uh, oh, throughout the day, it's probably just 9 to 10 hours max of work that I do. So I take breaks in between. I take a longer break in between. I know my unproductive hours, which is the afternoon time. I know I get very unproductive. My mind doesn't work. I am not in that zone. So between 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, I don't work. I may do whatever, but I will not work because that's a very unproductive hour for me. So I watch movie. I will entertain. I will keep myself entertained. If required, at times I'll go for a nice afternoon nap also, but I won't work during that time. And and then again from some 5:30 onwards, I work, and then I work till 9 o'clock. And so that is how I balance my the entire day also. I read a lot. I believe that knowledge is power. If you have knowledge, your
Wow.
entire confidence comes from knowledge. I am not a fiction reader. I don't like stories and all that stuff. I am a uh, I am the reader. I'm that type of reader who reads the last page to know the entire story. So I don't have the patience to go through the curiosity of what is happening, how it is happening, and all that. I don't enjoy that. I want to know what the plot is, what actually happens, and then go towards absolute towards the last bit, finally what happened. And for me, the story is done. So that's how I
Okay.
read storybooks. But I read a lot of books on non-fictional, you can say. The self-development books is something that I read a lot, whether it is on leadership, mostly on sales, and leadership, on personal growth, on your self-awareness, something that can, how I can manifest myself. And I read a lot of books on self, and I read a lot of articles. I'm constantly researching. I research a lot. As I said, I very, if you want to be successful, knowledge is your power. Gather, accumulate as much knowledge as you can, as much knowledge as you can. So I am constantly on YouTube reading, or finding articles, and just reading on one topic. Probably I will access some 15 to 20 different people, what are they saying about that one topic, so
Wow.
that I know every perspective, every thought process on that topic. So that is how I read. I don't read one book. There are like five books open in front of me. So I read books also more, not because it's a very enjoyable process for me, but because it is knowledge for me. So I read one thing in one page, I immediately shift to another book, and what are they saying about the same thing? So I will read that. So that is that is my reading style. I don't read from start to end. So it is not that I will open the first page and read that way. I will just take a book, and for example, I'll show you. If suppose this is a book, and I will just suddenly open this, whichever pages it is, I'll start reading. That's how I read.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
I
It's
only look
like
for knowledge.
it's not you are reading it, you are swallowing it, doing a research
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that topic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anything that is written, anything written by good people, every aspect that they have written is knowledge. So it doesn't matter whether I start from the beginning or I go to the end or start at the middle. It's knowledge for me. So I am just taking that knowledge. So so for example, I was reading Influence by Robert Cialdini, and I would just go to one page and open it, and wherever one new chapter is starting, anywhere in between, I will start reading. So I will read that chapter, I will make my notes, I'll make my mental notes, I will create applications, whatever they have said, how can I apply it in sales, I will note them down, I'll create those applications and close the book. That's how my reading happens. So I finish one book in probably, I take 6 months to finish a book, because that's how I read, very slowly, slowly absorbing everything, creating practical life applications of whatever I am reading. How can it be applied in sales? And that's how my reading happens. And then that is what then again I use in when I'm coaching others or when I am training others. So that is the knowledge. When I've already transferred everything from the book into a practical application, now I give that practical application in my training and coaching.
Yeah, I think it's one of the great tip, you know. It doesn't matter how many books you read. It's how much you observe and apply in your day-to-day life. Also, you are, you know, helping others to learn that insights.
If you don't apply, then what is the point of that knowledge?
Very
What are
true.
you doing with that knowledge? You have to apply it, then only it is going to come of use, isn't it?
Yeah. What's your secret of success?
Read. Acquire knowledge, read a lot. Don't have this attitude that only you know the best, or only you have all the knowledge in the world. And many salespeople have that, even with 5 or 6 years of experience. They have this feeling that, oh, because you've handled a few clients successfully and you've closed a few business in your market, suddenly don't start feeling that, oh, I know how to handle my clients, or I know my market and I know everything. No, you don't know everything. You cannot possibly know everything.
Mm.
So never believe that you know, because the day you start believing that you know everything is the day when you stop growing completely. Always know that uh, even the person sitting next to you in a bus or in a train or in the aeroplane will know something more than you, or
Mm.
might know certain aspects, certain domains which you have no knowledge of. So never have that unnecessary irrelevant arrogance about yourself, because your entire life may go and you still may be knowing very limited. So always be hungry and curious to learn. The more you are curious to learn, you will be successful. No one can stop your success, but be curious to learn. Learn from everything around you, learn from everybody around you, learn from every interactions you are having, from the way the ticket checker treated you, to the way you bought a consumer durable from a showroom or from any such shop, to the way you have been dealing on e-commerce, the way you've been purchasing on e-commerce, or to the way um, somebody outside, or your car, the one who cleans your washes your car, the way that person talks, and or maybe have found a job for himself or herself. Every interactions, there is something to learn.
No.
So be curious, learn from every interaction that you have.
Thank you for the advice, Preeta. And like, do you have any favorite book? Because I know you are a big reader, right? Something is really favorite
uh,
for you, all-time favorite.
I think if I have to go for my all-time favorite, then it will be influenced by Cialdini, because that is one aspect which has an application not only in sales but in every aspect of your life. So yeah,
Yeah, I have it.
influenced by Cialdini is my, I think any time I go to that book. And
Yeah.
another favorite, another good book actually, and which has helped me a lot in my business as in growing my business, in networking, in helping in sales, is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Mm.
Again, a great book. All the 30 human relationship principles are amazing. And if one can apply those 30 human relationship principles in their everyday life, in their day to day interactions, whatever, not only on clients, but with everyone, it is bound to transform your life. It's an amazing, amazing, transformative book. How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think these two books are should be my all time favorites.
Okay. And the personal question to end with, what made you to have this beautiful hairstyle, Preeta? No, I really like it, you know. It's so cute and charming.
I don't know. I always had a short hair from my, I think, since I first cut my hair short, I think when I was in class 12th. And then I had this short hair for some time. Then I, in between, grew. It went up till here, but it was very difficult. I have very straight hair, extremely straight hair, and very thick and coarse hair. So it kind of falls. I can't style it. I can't do anything with it. It falls. And it looks, I never liked it. And like it happens, the straight hair people like curly haired people, and the curly haired think that, oh, I wish I had a straight hair. So I think I was also in that same state. I never liked that such straight and coarse and thick hair. It was very, I have very thick hair. So ultimately, I think in 2000, finally, I don't remember when, but then I cut again my hair short. So it was first here, then it went till here, then it went till here, then it became a graduated bob, and then it became pixie. And then since then, I started keeping it pixie only. That this is devoid of any stress. I don't have to comb my hair. I don't have
Yeah.
to bother about a bad hair day, because no matter what I do, my hair stays. So it's like a worry free, stress free hair that I have. And then I have always had on my wish list to color my hair blue, but I was, again, internal resistance. I was not having the courage of being able to do that. Finally, I think after some 2 years of thinking and gathering courage, finally I went to the salon and I said, color my hair blue. And then I did that, and I realized that I was really liking that color on me. I really enjoyed having that blue, and I received a lot of appreciation from others as well on that color, because they found that it was too courageous of me to have a blue color. And maybe somewhere they were feeling very inspired, that a lot of women felt inspired, that I wish we had that courage of coloring the hair blue. And I was very happy that I was able to inspire also a few women. They actually did color their hair blue, and they sent me a picture that, look, I have also colored.
Wow.
So I think I was
Wow.
I kind of became a trendsetter for them. I don't know how, but I'm happy. I'm happy. And now it so happened that I was talking to another colleague, sales trainer from our fraternity, and he was telling me that the blue has become your brand identity. Don't change into any other color. I'm like, what are you saying now? Permanently, forever, I have to keep this blue color? That was not my intention. But let's see. As long as I feel like keeping it, I'll keep it, and then maybe I'll change it to some other color. Maybe the next color that I have on mind is
Mhm.
purple. So let me
Wow.
see if I can change it to purple
Yeah,
someday.
purple also one of the color, most women likes it, right?
Yeah, you also have a purple in your brand here in the
Brand,
color.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But really, you look so beautiful and exactly it fits on your face, this hairstyle and this color. And the courage is required. And, that's the small, small wins, that really makes a woman happy, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is about loving yourself. It is about doing things that you enjoy, and not thinking about what others are going to say. So I stopped myself. That's, log kya kahenge. I colored my hair blue at the age of 46. I was like, and that again, a limiting belief. You see, at the age of 46, you are coloring your hair. This is something that, Anna, it's not that I didn't get that comment. I did get that comment that this is something people, people in 20s do, coloring all these things. So not people who are close to 50. They don't do that. Now I'm like, chuck it. I do it because I like it.
That's
So I am
important.
not going to now live. It's like enough. Why? There are certain things that I can do for myself, right? I don't have to bother about what the world is saying. I wanted to see it. If I would not have liked this color, I would not have kept it. But it so happened that I loved this color on me. So I decided to keep it. Um, you don't like it on me? Close your eyes. What else can I say?
That's true, See, end of the day, like, are we happy with what we are doing? World will say, one will say you're so beautiful, one will say you're not beautiful. If we keep listening to others, we will not be happy within, right? End of the
That is
day,
true,
that's
no? Everything has two sides, right? Not anyone whom I think, like, for example, I'm not taking the name, but there's one person whom you feel is good. I have a very different perception about it. So you can't be pleasing everyone, and you want to be liked and loved by everybody. You will
yeah.
have your promoters and you will have your detractors. So love your promoters and don't care about your detractors. That's all.
Yeah, and how audience can reach you if they want to, Preeta?
I am on LinkedIn. Interestingly, I believe if you search Pritha Dubey on LinkedIn, I could be the only one. That's
Oh,
how unique. That's how unique I am. And
great.
so you will find me very easy to find. I doubt if there is another Pratha Dubey and with blue hair. So I'm very unique that way. And you can also connect with me. So do send me a connection request, everyone, and do mention that you were here in this podcast, and that's how you are connecting with me. Because otherwise what happens is I have so many pending requests. I tend to ignore if it is not if there are a reference has not been made, then I tend to not accept the invitation. And also you can go on to my website. It's again on my name, www.prithadube.com. And I have put in a lot of heart and soul in designing my website. Do browse that website and drop your feedback and comment. And when you go to my website, the contact us page actually takes you to my calendar. So if you wish to connect with me and just want to know me more and want to catch up with me, you can block my calendar, and you will have a Zoom invite coming your way, and we can catch up with each other. So I'm looking forward to connecting with all of you, but first on LinkedIn, that would be better.
Yeah, Preeta. So it was loving to talk with you. I thoroughly
Same here.
enjoyed today's conversation with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tilaga. And thank you again for inviting me to this podcast. I really, really felt so at home, so comfortable. And you are such an amazing, amazing host. I now can understand why your podcast is so liked and why people are so talking about this podcast all the time. So thank you very much for calling me here.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Take care.